What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Today is Best Served Podcast 262. We're talking benefits need to be built in to the restaurant model. This is Best Served Paragon Volume 2, Who We Serve, and this is episode 2 of 4. Andrew Parr, as always, is with us. Andrew, good to see you.
Pleasure to be with you as always.
Of course. So we're going to dig into the Paragon Pillars as we do, right? Our roadmap. We want to illuminate the path that leads to an equitable, profitable, sustainable model for restaurants. That's what we are so focused on because there is not one size fits all. And that's what we want to dig into. The unique decisions that you need to make for your business are unique to you. What we think about is what are the outcomes? What are the goals that we have? How do we map towards those? What decisions can you make? Can we prompt you to make for that success? I'm going to invert this. Pillar number 2, just to tell you about it. 19% net profit is so important for us to get away from the 7-8%. We're going to dig into that a little bit more, how that is just not sustainable. And what we're really going to dig into is pillar number 1, the most important goal that we have, 75% employee retention and satisfaction. This is mission critical for restaurants. We are in the relationship business. We are in the people business. We have to cultivate people. We have to invest in people. This is so important. We believe that this really breaks down into 4 segments. It's wages, benefits, culture, education. So that really is what we dig into when we're talking about this. I'll give you a little background because I want you to check out the full series. You can go into the comments and find links to playlists, either if you're on YouTube or Facebook, and you can check out the full series. So make sure you check out the comments, and you can see we started with episode 256 last week. Feed your restaurant culture. Culture is so important in a restaurant. And sometimes we glaze over that. We're also going to be talking about livable wages, how difficult it is to actually create an opportunity for livable wages within the restaurant. And then finally, we're going to talk about training and education, something that we struggle with so mightily. So many stories lead into just getting thrown into the fire again and again and again. So that's going to be the series. All right. I want to talk to you as the potential restaurant owner, the soon-to-be restaurant owner, or food and beverage business. If you're looking at a virtual kitchen, if you're looking at a food truck, if you're looking at a CPG, a consumer packaged good company, these ideas need to be crystallized in you. You have an innate need to connect people and story, to be a communicator, and you do that through food, beverage, and hospitality. What you are is a pillar of both culture and commerce in your community. This is the goal that we have as restaurant owner operators. There's something about connecting people around the table that is so moving to us. And not only do we see that being important from the culture standpoint, commerce is so fundamentally important. And that's why the restaurant business, we got to focus on the business side a little bit more. So want to get into that a little bit. We have a major issue when it comes to our ability to execute on this promise that we make ourselves, that we make our team. And that really comes down to this term, Andrew, it drives me absolutely insane. Industry standards. Look at my air quotes. How's my air quote game today?
Solid.
I'm a big fan of the air quotes. Industry standards do not serve you. They do not serve you. Those numbers lead to a ridiculous high rate of closure. And Andrew's going to touch on those when we really dig into the numbers. Industry standards do not serve you. We are breaking all of them. We have to come up with a different way. This does not work. It has not worked. And for the few people that have eked through and created success, and don't get me wrong, people have created success within these industry standards, the margin for error is 0. And that is why so many restaurants close. Andrew, really, I want you to lay down the numbers. This is a big picture thing. It's like, yeah, it's a really difficult industry. Okay, so what? I'm still going to run through that wall again and again and again. Break down the numbers a little bit. We need to understand what we're up against.
Yeah, and it's frightening. And as you said, that the industry standards don't serve you, and they are this false hope, this false sense of security that
Mm.
if you do what you're supposed to do, I'll use the air quotes,
Yes,
supposed
here you
to
go.
do, right? Then you're not guaranteed a path of success. And one of there are a lot of things that the industry standards lead to right now. They lead to 73% turnover rate, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
industry average right now, with the typical employee working 56 days once they're hired. And
Just make sure that means that the average employee that people are hiring at a restaurant quits within less than 2 months. That is there
absolutely,
and gone. Now, there's something interesting there, Andrew, where it's easy to blame. Well, they just kids these days. They don't care as much. They're not as passionate. They're not as hardworking. This grass is always greener on the other side. All of these excuses, which they're real, they could be real. Yet I know a lot of really hardworking 24 to 32-year-olds that you are just churning through people, and they're recognizing it way sooner. They're recognizing way sooner than we did. I thought getting a plate thrown on my head was a badge of honor. Turns out it was toxic.
right.
And does not work. And that's why we burn out in the kitchen. So the reality is they're just saying, nope, I call bullshit a lot quicker than we were able to. So I want people to really, really understand that number. It's not just a number. This is a human experience in that. Somebody's walking in the door excited about this job, and you show yourself to them, your culture or lack thereof, not having the benefits, not having the livable wage. They say, why the hell would I do this? I can go drive Uber. I can go swing a hammer. Seems a lot less challenging than what's being laid out here. So I want to touch on that a little bit. What does that cost us? That's a great number. What does that actually cost a restaurant?
The cost is unreal. So let's say hypothetically you have a restaurant with 50 employees and a management team of 4 people. The way that translates is that between hard and soft costs, about $6,000 per line level employee every time you need to replace and hire a new one. And for your management team, $14,000 per manager to replace one, right? So when we extend the math out, you're looking at 73% turnover at 50 employees is 37 employees a year, right? So let's take a step back from the mind-boggling math for a second. If you're losing 37 employees per year, that means that once every 10 days, an employee walks out the door never to return. Right?
What the fuck, dude? Once every 10 days.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable that we just take this for an industry standard. That's not normal. It's not normal.
Absolutely not. And, when you do all the big math and add everything up, you've lost your 37 employees during the course of the year and 2 of your managers, $250,000 in expense. And, I think what's interesting to note, and you and I have played around with some of the numbers, the reality is that if you provided insurance to those 54 employees, right, your 50 line level employees and your 4 managers, it would actually cost you less than to turn over 73% of your roster every year.
This is where we'll talk about this a little bit more. This is where our struggle to run the business side, because look, I didn't get in this to crunch numbers. I didn't. I was so moved by just finding your people, right? The pirates on the pirate ship, the band of rebels, the island of misfit toys. When I first got into my uncle's restaurant, 17 years old, punk kid from California, now in Ames, Iowa, big culture shock. I went into that restaurant and it was instant. I knew it. I loved everything about the chaos. I loved the heat of the kitchen. I loved how quick you needed to be able to think on your feet. I love that we created something with our hands. I love that I could see through the window and see the impact and the excitement that the food created. I love being able to push through 500 covers with a 5-man kitchen. This is what was so important to me. This is why you and I are so moved to action to do something about this. Because both of us have succeeded. My air quotes, it's going to be heavy today, people. We succeeded, yet we couldn't sustain. I owned a successful restaurant that made 19% net profit, 19.2% profit. It was able to check all of the industry standard boxes except for the one. I didn't invest enough in the people, which meant I worked 75 hours a week. I never took a sick day. I mean, I've thrown up in trash cans while on the line, like all of these things that I believe people have the experience of. That is the impact that the numbers have. That is what we are struggling with, trying to figure out. And so I want to take people to, that's great. Like, we've laid out that there's a huge issue. And I think every single person, one number, one interaction we just mentioned, they felt it, they know it. If they've been line level from the get, if they're an owner operator, if they're in lower upper management, they know the impact of these numbers. So we really need you to understand them. Now, what do we do about it? And so I want to touch on that. We're talking specifically back to benefits. We're thinking about that as a way to invest in what we think are true professionals, right? We need to think of ourselves as true professionals, not just this transient industry for people on their way until they get a real job, right? So how do we do that? We're trying to parse this down. We think about wages, benefits, education, culture. Tell us, within benefits, how do we need to break that down to understand where and how to spend our money, our time, and our effort?
Yeah. So I think that, this requires a really significant mindset shift, going from the scarcity mentality to the abundance mentality, and understanding that this is not a pie that if I have more, you have less.
Yes.
We need to understand that everybody can have more. And the way that we've looked at the benefits segment is to really look at 4 different buckets, right? So we've got physical health, we've got mental health, we have time off, and then we have creative or non-traditional amenities or benefits that can be provided. And I think that, when you check out the article that we've put together, and the link is in the comments, you can see an immense number of valuable resources that we've kind of pulled together for you. There are telehealth programs, $7 per employee, no copay, no nothing, $7 per month per employee. They can have unlimited access to telehealth, both for physical and mental well-being. We have good folks locally, like the people that are involved with CHOW, who are working tirelessly on the mental health of all of the participants in our industry.
And now we're talking locally to the Denver, Colorado market where we are. I am sure that there are resources. I think of I've Got Your Back, which I know you have linked, our friend Patrick Mulvaney at Mulvaney BNL out in Sacramento. So there's a lot of resources. Look locally for groups that are supporting, and there's a lot of free resources that a lot of grants have been out there. CHOW, started by John Hinman, good friend of ours, who really struggled with his own addiction, things like that, has been very open. So CHOW is Culinary Hospitality Outreach and Wellness. Check them out on Facebook for sure. And you have a link in that article as well to them. Yep. So there's resources within your community. I guarantee it. Restaurant.org has some different resources as well. So anyway, a lot of good stuff that you put into that article. It is in the comments. Go check out the bestservedpodcast.com, our new read channel, which is where we're focused on watch, listen, and read. You can read about some of that and take some of the steps. This is the time now, Andrew. We need to start to be in control of our own lives and our own businesses. We can't be at the mercy of just butts and seats and industry standards anymore. We have to be proactive, not reactive. And that's a struggle. I mean, Andrew, that's a struggle. We're so used to being reactive. We're so used to we bob and weave as guests walk in the door. We create that experience for them, uniquely for them. Tickets come in and we react. We respond. We are very good counterpunchers. It makes us good tacticians. We struggle with strategy. We have to be proactive. We have to think about forecasting. We have to think about budgeting. We have to think about investing in physical, mental health, time off, creative amenities. We have to think about investing in our most valuable asset, our people. That is what you have. Because The restaurant down the street, they probably make a better burger than you do. They probably have more money than you do. What they don't have is your team, your employees, your people. That is the asset that you have. You have to invest in it. And our friend Jordan Bush from Seven Shifts first pointed this out, and it kind of blew my mind, talking about the $6,000 to $4,000 numbers. If $6,000 worth of food walked out the door over a 10-day span, you would lose your mind. You would stop everything, and you would attack that issue like a pit bull. You would not let go until you figured out how to make sure that that food product, that bar product, didn't walk out of the door. Yet every 10 days, Andrew, you're telling me $6,000 worth of human capital right out the door.
Yep.
We just say they couldn't cut it. They weren't one of us. That, you know, sucks for them. Like all of these different things that why is that the way that we go about? Why are we attacking the individuals versus going at the larger issue? And that's what we're really, really focused on. This is the transformation that we need to make in this industry. We can no longer keep the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Yet I've done it over and over and over again. And that's why you and I had to take a step back from being operators, from being owners, and saying, I can't keep going through this rat race. We have to figure out a new way. And now you and I are so compelled to go from player to coach, to be able to have an impact on the future of this industry. And now is the time for us to rebuild this thing. This is the call to all of us in the industry. It is time. It is long past time for us to do something about this. And it starts with understanding our business models, understanding wages, benefits, education, culture to map to 75%. It means understanding our line items in our budgets, our P&Ls, to understand how do we map to 19%. I get it. When the numbers are what, 5, 6, 7, 8%, if you're killing it, are the numbers for net profit. People say that's an impossibility to get to 19%. You're right, based on the rigid structure of industry standards as they currently are. Yet every industry is recognizing the need to invest in restaurants. Restaurants are the epicenter. Restaurants, again, are those pillars of culture and community. That's what we need to really, really focus on. That's where the opportunity is. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think about if you start your own food and beverage business. Imagine this, Andrew. Imagine this, because I know I've never done it. I know you've never done it. What if you took a 2-week vacation and didn't check your phone, your email, or even worry about your restaurant for one moment? Did you? As I say it, I'm like that. I don't even know if I believe it yet, Andrew. That is the impossibility that we're talking about. Take a 2-week vacation and don't worry at all, because your team, you invested in them, they got your back. We help you build that infrastructure, that framework. We have your back. That's what you need. And because everybody knows that you, as a leader in that business, in that community, you have their back. Patrick Mulvaney, great. I have your back. It's such a good name. Totally love the way that they're going about that. So I want to touch on the macro numbers of the failure that goes into this, that I've been a victim of. Even though I was really good at the numbers, I hit 11% in a single operation, high-end chef-driven place, 19% in a fast casual place, yet I couldn't sustain the numbers. What do the numbers say about the failure rates in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, listen, right now we're looking at, and this is exclusive of COVID, right? We're still looking at 60% failure rate within the first year.
60% of restaurants failure or closing. That means if you go to an area, neighborhood, a hopping neighborhood, by the way, that hopping neighborhood, it's hopping because of restaurants, because of food, beverage, hospitality, entertainment, right? The days, Andrew, of JCPenney and Sears and the mall or the strip mall being the epicenter, them driving commerce, and then restaurants creating the location, right? Which we believe is actually landlord lease location. That's a whole nother episode. But it's like, have the foot traffic, have the high traffic car density area, have the population density. And some of those things are true to a degree. Yet now JCPenney and Sears, they don't exist anymore, right? Or they both closed completely, or Chapter 11, or closing multiple locations. Now, any new neighborhood, any hopping neighborhood, it's restaurants, food and beverage, hospitality, and entertainment. They're the ones creating the foot traffic. They're the ones that are now creating the butts and seats for the yoga studio and the CrossFit gym and the shoe boutique and the hair salon and the bougie dog grooming salon, right? That's what restaurants are doing now. We need to stop going to these industry standards that we came up in, that we recognize, that are on some spreadsheet somewhere, and start building this industry anew. So that 60%, you go to that neighborhood, there's 10 restaurants and bars. We're talking about in the first year, 6 of those closing. That's 6 places that you love to go to as a regular. That's 6 places where you knew 2, 3, 5, 7 people that worked. It's a massive impact on the morale of that community, on the commerce of that community. That's what we're trying to avoid, because that's what's been the norm. It's not like we're proposing something that is not going to push back against the way that it's been. What we're proposing, what we want to be a part of the solution for, is building something new that is actually equitable, profitable, and sustainable. And there is a way for that. And it starts with very simple things. It starts with a mindset shift, and it starts with you taking a few simple steps to understand what you're actually investing in. Not, I always make fun of, and I point up like they're on my ceiling, but that's just what I do. The light fixtures that were reclaimed from the Titanic, and we spent all this money and time, and they were $1,800 per, and they look amazing, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And then we're trying to pay somebody $12 an hour to work for us and wonder why they don't show up. Why would they? What possible reason? You've shown them that they don't matter. And the reality is sometimes we've taken ourselves for granted, Andrew. I know I have time and again. I'm like, I'm just going to work really hard and then something better will happen.
Yep.
When and how? Only if we take control of our lives and our businesses and start building businesses that actually, I'm a broken record, equitable, profitable, sustainable. That's the model. That has to be the model. To take you from being this undervalued, underappreciated, the help that restaurants have been seen at, or this caricature of the celebrity chef, whatever those things are, to actually being a leader for your team, for yourself, hell, and for the community. That's what we're really going towards. So,
and I just want to jump back in for a second. You talked about talking about where we're spending our money, and I think it's important to look at your employees as an investment and not as an expense, right? These are the people that we, both as the consuming public and as the restaurant owner, owe a debt of gratitude to. And think about it this way, Colorado has passed a sick leave act. Colorado has passed a paid family leave act. Now, you can look at sick leave and say, oh, how am I going to pay for 48 hours, up to 48 hours per person of sick leave? The real question should be, how are you going to pay to recoup the business you've lost when somebody comes in sick? They got 6 other employees sick. Now they are all calling out. You're running short-staffed. Let the people that are not feeling well stay home and take care of themselves, whether it's physically ill or it's a mental day that they need a mental vacation.
Oh, and Andrew, you got me with the goosebumps going. This is so important because there's stigma, right? We have this control mentality versus grow and invest mentality, right? Back to the scarcity and survival mode, all of these things. We're trapped in that. And we just had a tableside last week. People need to check out the series Tableside as well. Yes. I'm actually going to make sure we drop that into the comments, that playlist, because Tableside is where we're sitting down with myself and 3 other industry professionals and talking about what the hell is going on with them, their personal experience. And a lot of it has been people leaving the industry, right? And last week we talked to Jinju Im, Veronica Flores, and Terrell White about their experience when it came to benefits. And all 3 of them said, like, look, I've had them a couple times and they were just like the bare minimum just so that the company could say that they offered them. Yet I had to make decisions and I like that you have pet insurance in one of the links. Amazing. Because two of them, Veronica and Jinju, said that they had to invest in taking care of their pet over themselves because they could not afford, because the copays were too high for them within their own insurance. Hell, Jinju had her dog with the cone of shame after getting something removed from the hair, looking all scraggly, on with us during the show. Talk about embodying the inequity that we're talking about. Terrell was like, well, I've been a manager for quite a few times, so I had the insurance. And then we dug into it. I was like, wait a minute. But sometimes that insurance, the benefit is used as a weapon against that employee, so that they now say, well, look, now you need to be working 70 hours a week, 55, 60, 70 hours a week, whatever that number is, because we've given you this package, which includes benefits. Yet he specifically mentioned having an ankle this size and still wrapping it up and going to work. So great. You had insurance, yet you still did what we all do. You show up sick. You show up beat up. You show up with an ankle the size of a grapefruit, and you just suck it up, because we are all about that tough guy, tough gal mentality. And look, bonding together and finding a way through, strength. Turning it into an obligation where there's social pressure and stigma. If you are sick, that you don't show up, that you're weak, that you're less committed, that you don't have the passion. Let me get me started on how we prey on our own passions. That is not okay. It will never be.
Well, and let's look at vacation as a benefit too. I mean, here you go. Congratulations, new hire. You've got 2 weeks of paid vacation. But by the way, just want to let you know that you're not allowed to take vacation from the week before Thanksgiving until the week after New Year's. You can't take vacation until after you've been with us for a full year. You can't take vacation on Mother's Day, on Easter, So it's like, okay, when am I supposed to take vacation? And then you put in your request and somebody says to you, hey, by the way, 3 other people have that same request in, so you can't go. Well, yeah, 3 other people do, because there's no other time to take vacation because you've limited it. How is that a benefit?
It's not. That's the reality. It's not. And we have to reconcile it, and we have to figure out a way through. So here's what I'm asking. Here's what I want anybody who currently has their operation or is looking to get into operation, because look, these are tough times right now, yet there's a lot of opportunity coming out of COVID. There's going to be opportunity for people that think differently, that create something truly new, not just a different color lipstick on the same pig, something truly new. And we believe that the Paragon Pillars framework is a way to go about that. And so the first thing that I want you to do, please, is click on the link. This is good. Friend Michael Pachewski. Yep. Then use it or lose it, right? Like, you had no availability. You had no time to ask for time off. You asked for the time off, even though the whole calendar is blacked out. And then 3 other people did, and you happen to not be the first one, so you don't get it. And then, oh, by the way, they don't roll over. Michael, totally true. So, God, it gives me anxiety just talking about that. Now, go to that article and check out the 4 buckets. There are a few resources. I like to make things simple, not easy. For some reason, this industry, we like to bleed out of our eyeballs. Is the only way we respect it, because we are hard-nosed, hard work types, and I get it. It's me for sure. Go to the article, click on a couple of those links, and check them out. And if you need a breakdown of the numbers further, please, there's a place to sign up. We have some different frameworks that we're starting to build out that we think can bring significant value. Truly believe that. So answer some questions for us in the way that you're approaching your concept, and continue to cultivate the new thinking that we're talking about and build this new industry. That's what we need to do. That's what you and I are so dead set focused on. I think that's it, Andrew. Do we hit all the points?
Yeah, I think so. It's, like you said, with the definition of insanity, it's favorite compatriot friend. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. And if that's what you got 73% annual turnover and a 60% failure rate within the first year. That doesn't have to be the model. Follow Jensen's instructions, do some clicking and linking, and make it happen.
Let's go. It's time for that paradigm shift. I love that. We need a quote book. We need a mantra of the day, Andrew. We're going to work on that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you so much for the work that you do. Essential worker doesn't even begin to cover. Truly, pillars of both culture and commerce in their community. That's what restaurant people are. That's what we're fighting for in the work that we're doing. We want to highlight you and your work because it truly, truly matters. That's it. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Cheers.